Yesterday we came to within about a meter of getting robbed at knife point.
So we had an incident the other day that had us very close to losing many things and being robbed.
And this is the story of how that did not happen. It started the night before. We had gone into Cali to meet some new friends and take a rest. And we got a ride back out to where we had stopped walking Villarrica. And we had planned to walk 10 kilometers into the afternoon to take advantage of the cooler temperatures to a town called Puerto Trujillo. Instead, we spent like 3 hellacious hours on a bus in a downpour around a storm. And at the time, we were really upset to not get back out on the trail. We stayed in Villarrica and took off pretty early the next morning. And people started pulling over and offering us rides more often than usual. Then there was a young man on horseback who was moving his cattle. And I stopped to ask him a question, like why the birds were following the cattle, and he kind of gave me the elevator eye from his horseback and answered my question. And then we put our headphones back in and continued walking, and maybe about 5 or 10 minutes later he rode up on us. And I'd been looking at my phone for directions, and he said, "Put that away, they're gonna rob you." So at this point, we recognized that we were in a pretty sketchy area. So put my InReach inside my backpack, put our phones away, put our headphones away, kept going.
We stopped for lunch. A couple of ladies that were working at the lunch spot that we stopped at said that north of where we were, which is the direction we were going, was safer, and it just gets safer. So after lunch, we both put our headphones in and started walking along the highway with still our stuff put away. It was just, you could see the headphones.
So we saw this kid. Then I saw him on the other side of the road jogging in the same direction that we were. And I thought, wow, how awesome. A young man out for exercise. That's admirable of him in the middle of the day.
A little bit after lunch, there was a like teenager of some sort that was walking the opposite direction of me that passed me, and I could see him just like look me up and down, and he looked pretty hard at the pocket that I had my headphones coming out of. I didn't think too much of it because we get stared at so much down here.
And about an hour later, suddenly that same kid appeared on our side of the road with a friend, was coming over, was crossing the street to walk with them, and they both started walking together directly in front of us. And Neon was behind them and slowing down, and I was coming along. And then just out of nowhere, this police officer comes striding aggressively out of the shrubs
and just came marching towards these kids and was like, "What are you doing?" And made them like lift up their shirts and just like search them. And I was like, that's interesting. Number one, where'd that cop come from? And number two, where did like these kids come from?
And his partner pulls up in his cop car in front of us, and they stopped us and explained that those boys were about to try to rob you.
The other one came up with like a chef knife with like an orange handle. It was like that long.
Ya pasaron lo más pesado que es el Cauca.
Sí.
Que pues hay milicias y pues lo que viene extranjeros lo roban, lo botan las cosas.
¿Me puedes mostrar la cuchilla que los chicos tenían?
Ah, sí. Pues estaba el cuchillo.
So we saw a boy passing us, and then going the opposite direction, and then he ran back around, and right as he came up on us, this officer came upon him and confiscated that.
And he had another person with him.
Yeah, and he picked up another little friend with him. So we're talking with the police right now about what's the safest way to proceed. They're saying it's just the next few kilometers. So.
Entonces, la vamos a llevar allá a la entrada Palmira.
Okay.
Para que lleguen al hotel y pues descansen y mañana devuelven otra vez y con la vida otra vez.
So we got to ride in the back of a Colombian police vehicle. I would not recommend it. It's hard and uncomfortable, but the police officers were quite nice and friendly, so that was helpful.
Muchas gracias. That was a pretty big knife.
It was a big night. I thought it was overbeating. What are you going to do with that knife?
And we got to town that night and definitely have reevaluated quite a bit since then.
Yeah, it was definitely eye-opening to what is more and more possible down here. So yeah, we've reevaluated like our different safety systems as we continue to do as we go through these countries.
To do things before the problem starts rather than waiting until you're getting robbed and then addressing it. So things like having my pepper spray accessible and being able to pull it out. Considering what we have on our backpacks that can be used as weapons, like our trekking poles or the backpack itself.
So, close call. Didn't have to do any paperwork, so that was nice. Working with adolescent teens has its advantages that you know when kids are being sketchy. But yeah.
I'm just really grateful, and it's something more than luck that that police officer appeared right then.